Good afternoon. My name is Ken Fritz, and I am a proud member of the NRA. Anybody else out there? Yeah. That's it? That's the best you got? John, is this the NRA or the PTA? What do we got out here? Okay, here, we're going to do that again, only this time I'm going to ask the same question. And when I ask the question, I want you to come back with a really big "you bet." I want the roof to jump off. I want the walls to shake. I want everybody outside to hear this, okay? So let's show everyone here that we're the NRA. My name is Ken Fritz, and I'm a proud member of the NRA. Anybody else out there? Better. Excellent. It's nice to be home. Welcome, brothers and sisters, instructors that you are. Thank you. If I look familiar to you, the reason why I might look familiar is a couple different reasons. Either I've been to your company, your organization, I've talked with them, it could be about anything, about leadership, teamwork, conflict resolution, or you've seen me on YouTube. I've done some of that. I've also been on the YouTube on the NRA. You can see that. And if you see it, it's because you might have also been to the 2014 NRA annual meeting at Indianapolis. Anybody there? Yes, look at you guys. So you all remember me, right? Good, this is a different talk. Forget all that stuff I said. When I came to you at that time, I was talking to you as somebody who has the experience and expertise of speaking and education and training, and I was helping people sort of be a little bit better at their professionalism of actually giving presentations, your NRA material. That's the reason why I was there. Today, I come to you to talk about this particular subject. The NRA, and it says the NRA Basics of Pistol Shooting. That's what I want to talk to you about, because it's a blended program and it's a change. As soon as we mention the word change, people get upset. Now, Tony talked to you a little while ago about the UTM, and while he was talking to you, that's a change. That's a tremendous change. But the people in this audience were going, yeah, that's good. I mean, there were guys down there, I almost felt like pulling out some sort of tissue or something and going up. They were salivating at the idea, I can shoot this stuff in my house? This is great. And it is. This is just a little bit of a different change. And every time we have a change, there's always about 20% that jump right on board. There's 50% that say, I don't know, I'll have to see it. And then there's about 30% that say, nah, not for me. We need to talk about this, folks, because I've gotten a chance to see it. I'll tell you what I think about that in just a minute. This is our agenda for today. What time we have this room till, John? 3 o'clock? Plenty of time, no problem. Relax, we're not going to 3 o'clock. I can't talk that long. I'm good, I'm not that good. I want you to look at this and I want you to memorize what's on there because I'm going to test you on it. What was the first thing that was on that agenda? A video. Well, geez, if it's a video, maybe we ought to watch one. I want you to watch this because this is what I used to do. I was a fighter pilot, did it for 20 years. I spent about 12 years in the cockpit. And what you see this pilot do, he's in an F-15E. It's a Strike Eagle. What he's doing right now is what I used to do. Matter of fact, I used to train people on how to do what you see him do. The music's not there. Too bad. In this particular video, what you're going to see is you're going to see him go to an entry point, and he's going to begin a low-level tour, a low-level route. I want you to watch that. I want you to watch how low he flies. I want you to watch the speed that he flies. When you watch it, keep in mind, this is an F-15E. I flew F-111s. We used to fly lower than these guys and faster than these guys. So think of this in fast forward, if you will. It might be on mine. Although I doubt it. that cool or what? It was. Come on, it was cool. You would agree with that. I'm gonna count to 3. When I say 1, 2, 3, I want everybody in the room to say cool. We got 720 people. This is going to be neat. 1, 2, 3. Cool. And it is. And I got paid for it. You can't imagine how many times I looked at the right seater and said, "Can you believe it? We're getting paid for this?" And we were. It's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. It really is. And it's cool and it's neat. And when I show this, typically I show that same video for leadership courses. When I ask these guys to watch it, they always come back with 2 questions. The first one is, how do they do that? The second one that follows is, well, why do they do that? I'm going to talk to you just very briefly about how we do that, because it links us, all of you guys and gals. When I say you guys, okay, that covers everybody. Guys, gals, don't get upset with me. You didn't say females. I'm saying guys, everybody's in it. Everybody that's involved with this audience right here, right now, is very much like those people, or that guy that you just saw flying low level. And here's why. What the Air Force did to me was they took somebody who wanted to learn how to fly, that was me, and they taught me how to fly planes, then they taught me how to fly jets, then they taught me how to fly supersonic jets, and then they taught me how to fly combat-capable jets. That's what they did. After I became a combat-oriented pilot, if you will, then I was made an instructor, and then I went back to the beginning and I started training people how to fly just like that, in a block that was 100 to 300 foot. That was just one thing we taught them. 100 feet to 300 feet. Keep that in mind. So now I know how to do that. What we do as instructors is very similar. What we do is we take people who want to learn how to shoot guns. They raise their hand and they say, "I want to learn how to shoot guns." You say, "Fine." And what we do is we take them through all the requirements necessary to make them competent and capable at doing that. But you see, we started in the beginning too. We started shooting. Some of us have been shooting since we've been 10 years old. Some of us joined the NRA and we had just learned to shoot, and then we became instructors later on. But we do the same thing, so we're really linked. The why question. I'm going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. But the first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of the history. How did we get to the point where we actually changed the program? About 5 years ago, there was a meeting at the headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia for the NRA, the NRA headquarters. And at that meeting, there were about 10 people. They invited me to come and give a little presentation on some ideas, thoughts, capabilities, concepts that are going to help all of our instructors become a little bit better at presenting material. I gave them all my thoughts. About an hour and a half later, I left. Next time I talked to them was in 2014. We talked about the program, and I said, "Where is the program now?" And they say, "Well, as a matter of fact, we're thinking about putting it on video." Keep in mind, what I'm doing right now is what I do for a living. I heard that. My brain exploded. I was thinking, in myself, inside, my voice is saying, "What, are you out of your mind? What, are you crazy? Didn't I tell you about eyeball to eyeball being right in front of them? You can see them, you can touch them. Didn't I tell you about that?" But what I said was, "Wow, that sounds really interesting. Let me know when it's completed. I'd like to see what the results are." And then I walked away. I figure they're big boys and girls. They can make up their own minds. January 2016, I called up the NRA Education and Training Department. I talked to them and I said, how's the program? They said, "Pretty good. We're going to release it in a couple months." I said, "Really? Can I see it?" They said, "Yes. Here's an ID and a password. Take a look at it. Let us know what you think." So I did. And I watched it. And I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. I want to talk to you a little bit about the program. I want to talk to you about the program. This is the one that you see here, 2015 and prior. Notice it's got 2 phases to it. The first phase that you see here is academics. That's the simple stuff. We've done it 100 times. We stood up in front of our group of students, and what we've done is we've gone through the NRA Instructor's Guide, and we've taught out of that. That's what we've done. Then we go to the second part, which is the practical portion. And in the practical portion, we take them to a range, indoor, outdoor. It doesn't make any difference. We take them, and now we put real guns in their hand. And then we watch carefully behind them. And we show them how all this stuff works, and they get the real feel for the gun. Good. That's the way it used to be. What you see up here now is the program that we have now, the blended program. It still has 2 phases, and in fact, it really hasn't changed that much in what's there to be taught. It really hasn't. The e-learning portion in the very beginning, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to talk briefly about the instructor-led portion because this is the part that everybody wants to do. In fact, let me take a quick survey here. If you could only do one of these things, either phase 1 or phase 2, how many people in this audience would rather do phase 2 or the instructor-led? Raise your hand, please. My guess is that's more than the majority. And I get that because we enjoy doing that. We enjoy having our hands on the gun. So that's something that we want to do. There have been some slight alterations that you need to be aware of if you haven't known it already. One of the first things is the NRA has done a lot of surveys, and they found out that one of the things that people always comment on, the students comment on, is that they want to shoot more. So the NRA is now saying, hey, we need to have 200 rounds per student. The second thing that they said was, hey, you know what? Out of all the things we've done, we have really no record of what's actually happened. You know there's a guide, and there's also a checklist that's in the back of our guide, or in the back of the instructor's guide, and it's something that, sometimes people did. Well, from now on, that checklist, you need to do that. You need to give a copy to your student. You need to keep a copy for yourself. But there's signatures on both of those things just in case they're needed. And the last thing that's a little bit different about this, from now on, all of your students are going to know exactly what to expect. So they're going to be looking for you to evaluate them, grade them, and give them that checklist. So it's really good in that way. But I want to let's leave the second part alone for a couple seconds here. And I want to talk about the e-learning. I told you that I got a chance to watch it, right? Now picture me. This is what I like doing. I like seeing people. I like seeing them up close because I can read their faces. And okay, nobody goes to sleep, all right? And I'm responsible. If you go to sleep and your head goes forward and you hit that front chair, somebody's got to help you. And it might involve mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And I'm telling you what, I'm looking around. Some of you ain't going to make it. I ain't going out there for you. So let's stay awake. So, e-learning. What have we got? When I sit down, what did we get? I'm all about this face-to-face, and now they're going to show me video. I sit down. Somewhere after the halfway point of watching it, I was stunned, truly stunned, amazed. This is about as good as it gets. It truly is. Now, I've seen all sorts of programs for education and training. I've seen everything from YouTubes up to corporate programs. I've seen it all. And for what the NRA wants to do, this is as good as it's going to get. It is great. It covers so much. I've got about 8 things that I want to talk about, and the first one starts with this. It's standardized. 100% standardized, which means it doesn't make any difference whether this course is given in Washington, D.C. or the state of Washington. It's exactly the same. Now, we have well over 120-some-odd thousand instructors. And up to recently, when the course was given, it was given 120,000 different ways. Which is right? Do the math. Take them all. Take a big, and have some people who do it really, really, really well. They've been doing it for a long time. They know their stuff. They're excellent at it. And then we're going to have a big bunch of people in the middle who are doing a good job. And then we're going to have some of those people over here. None here. None of those people are here. But they're not the same. Well, now they are. It's given. And here's something that we don't, up until Sean just talked a couple of minutes ago, we don't normally think about the legal ramifications. We just don't do that. But think about this. If you were someplace up in the NRA and you were concerned about the legal ramifications, now you don't have to worry. Because if somebody wants to know, anybody wants to know, what did Bob get for his training? Here, sit down, make yourself at home. This is going to take about 7 hours. Watch it. And it's all the same. So the standardization is excellent. The next thing that's really good, this thing is detailed. Everything that's in the instructor's guide is in this program, and it is good. Presented excellent. So how can you beat that? In addition to that, it never forgets. Now, I don't know about you guys. Maybe you're better than me. But every once in a while, the way I teach it, the way I did teach it was, I would teach for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then after that, I would go through the instructor's guide, and I'd make sure that everything was good. Sometimes I would forget things, but I would catch it there. So I forget things, so do you. And there's somebody out in the audience right now thinking, oh, you forget things? What did you forget in this presentation so far? You'll never know. Let's go to the next thing, which has to do with a self-paced program. There are people out there who want to get this program, but it's extremely difficult for them. Not everybody works a 9-to-5 job from Monday to Friday. There are people out there that work night shift, graveyards, swing shifts. It doesn't make any difference. They can watch it at 2 o'clock in the morning if they want to, and they will, which is another benefit that I don't have a slide up here for. When they watch it at that time, they're watching it because they want to watch it. They're watching it because they feel that they're energized and can watch it, so that's the reason why they're watching it. They don't get slammed in a seat on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock because they have to be there. And you're going to talk to them for what, 6 hours? They're going to listen to that? It's extremely difficult. So now they can watch it anytime, and they get good training. There's the instant review. What do you think the average size class of an NRA instructor is? Anybody got any ideas? 4, and a little bit higher maybe? 10 maybe? That's the way I look at it. Someplace around 10, maybe 12. Some people do get more. I get you. But let's say you had a class of 10. You've got 10 people in your class, and there's Bob, and Bob has never, ever fired a pistol before in his life. But he wants to. We like Bob. We want him in our class. But the other 9 have started shooting since they're 12 years old, and they've been shooting. They know everything about guns, and they're just there to get the certificate. Bob quickly recognizes that he is the weakest link in this whole thing. And to get Bob to actually talk and ask questions in front of that group is a really hard thing to do. Trust me. I've been there 1,000 times. And it takes a really good instructor to get that guy to start talking. Typically, he won't. Will he pass the test? Yes. But he doesn't know the depth that he should. When you have instant review, here's what goes on. Bob is taking this at 11 o'clock at night. He's sitting in his pajama pants and a T-shirt. He's watching it. And if he sees something and it doesn't make sense, he just goes back and watches it again until he learns it. Remember the fighter pilot, the slide I showed you before, how and why? Isn't that the reason why we're doing this? So that people are truly competent and capable? This allows him to do that, and there's no rescission. There's nobody picking at him. There's nobody making fun of him. The unscored question is kind of a really neat thing because it forces people to recognize they don't get it. Now, everybody in this room has read an article, maybe a 3-page article, a book, and then somebody asks them, hey, did you read this? And you say, yes. And they say, did you get this part of it? And you say, was that in there? We do it. Everybody's done it. But here, in this particular program, what happens is they ask you some questions, and if you don't know it, you go back. You can watch it again, and you learn the material. The 7th thing is this is adjustable. We can change it. And we can change it, and when we change it, it now goes, well, basically worldwide. So, if you watch it, and you see something in it that you think might be better said, you, Mr. and Mrs. Instructor, have every reason to send a little email or call up Education and Training Division at the NRA and say, how about this? And maybe we'll change that. And that can happen anytime. But the 8th one, the next one that pops up here is the most important. I've saved it for last. And this is very simple, and everybody likes this one. The instructor is still in control. 100% the instructor is still in control. You are the difference between somebody being passed or not. They will either be capable and competent, or they need more training, and it's still up to you, and that will never change. So the people who are sitting in this room right now have got a pretty big job. I'm going to talk about that, because there are some responsibilities to this program. The first responsibility falls on the NRA. The NRA has said without a shadow of a doubt that we will take control of giving good quality education and training. We're going to do that. Okay. How many people in this room are NRA instructors? Raise your hand. I should see 100%. If I don't, how old are you? Put your hands down. How old are you, son? 6 years old. He's not one yet, but he is shortly going to be one. I'm going to count you. Everybody's hands goes up because we're NRA instructors and we are part of the NRA. In fact, we are the NRA. So when we say the NRA is taking control of this and we want to have really good quality training out there, that's us. The second thing, the second responsibility, we are not in the business of making guns safe, okay? We are in the business of education and training. You want to make guns safe? Good. You go work for Glock or Kimber or Sig Sauer. You go work for those guys because they're in the business of making guns safe by putting safeties on them. Now, we all know that safeties are mechanical and they don't work. I mean, that's what we train. So that doesn't work. But they're putting safeties on to combat two things, aren't they? The first one is ignorance. Anybody remember the second? Carelessness. Thank you. Good instructors. So in the end, our education and training trumps all of the safeties. Because if they listen to us and we do it correctly, if the safety fails, the chances of somebody getting hurt goes down dramatically. I'd like to say zero, but there's always something. So that's why it's important. The third responsibility. We, as it says there, we have little room for error. And the reason why I'm standing over here is because I'm going to make a big point. You watched a video just a little while ago, and it showed you these guys going at low level. I told you that I used to teach people how to do that in the F-111. These are the statistics to the wing sweeps on the F-111. It's a variable geometry, therefore it means that the wings sweep. If you're flying low level, just like this guy was, then your wings are set at such a degree that the wingtip to wingtip is about 50 feet. Draw a center line down the aircraft to one wingtip is 25 feet. Now, here I am, and I'm training somebody, right? I'm training him to fly at 100 feet. Are you with me? Yeah. Thank you. Boy, resounding, yeah. But at least I got somebody's listening to me. Here's the deal. From where I'm standing right now to that door where John Howard is standing is 75 feet. When you make a left-hand turn in an F-111 and you're going 1,000 feet per second, there's 75 feet from your wingtip to the dirt. The dirt is 100% fatal if you hit it. It's pretty interesting. When you're flying with a student and he bobbles a little bit and he goes up, well, that's okay, no harm done. We can talk about that. If he bobbles and goes down, not so much. Trust me, you're excited when you're there and you're instructing somebody who's never done it before. Instructing firearms has the same amount of importance. There is no room for error. If we do our instructions correctly, good things happen. If we don't do it correctly, there's a chance that some bad things can happen. So yes, you are very close to being the same as a fighter pilot instructor because there's no room for error. Let's take a look at expectations for a second. The first expectation for all of us should be, watch the videos. Maybe you didn't get it. Let me say that a different way. Watch the videos. At least twice. Now, I realize how much there is, 6.5, 7 hours worth. You're going to have to put, that's about 14 hours. But you need to watch them because if you don't watch them, you're going to have students come to you. They're going to ask you questions, and you won't be ready for them. And you can't look at them and say, where'd you get that? Because they know exactly where they got it, and if you can't answer it, that's not so good. The second thing, we need to give the appearance that we are a unit. The NRA is one. All of the instructors in the NRA are one. There's no difference between them. Okay, so now, a student watches the videos, they come to you and they say, hey, it said this in the video. What do you think of that? This is not your time to do the best Tony Soprano impersonation you've got. Oh, the NRA? They don't know nothing about that. Let me tell you what it's supposed to be. Sorry, Tony, if you're back there. That was New York. You're not going to say that because that goes bad two ways. The first one is he's been looking at all these videos. He's been watching this e-learning, and he's thinking it's pretty good. And then you tell him, no, it's wrong. Then he starts thinking, what the devil else is wrong with all this? That's bad. But here's the worst one. He's been watching the videos. He really likes them. He's been going through the book as well as watching the videos. He gets it. He likes all the instruction he's gotten so far. And then you come across with this. It's no good. When you come across like that, he's looking at you now. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about. And throughout that practical portion, that's what he's thinking. And you're going to have to dig yourself out of that hole. This is not good. So we really can't afford to have that. And last and not least, I mentioned it to you briefly before. When you watch this stuff, if you have a suggestion, it's really up to us to make the changes. It's a great program. It is as good as it gets, but doggone it, there might be a tweak that needs to be made. We can do that. That's kind of our job. Those are the things that come to mind, and that's just what we just talked about. I think I just finished talking about it, so I'm not going to give you a recap of the 3 different responsibilities or 3 different expectations. If you have questions, you can come up here. I have something I want to say, though, and this is on my time, so for those people who just wanted to hear the NRA person, you can tune me out if you want. I'm going to give you a slide here, by the way. If you want to contact me, I've got cards up here. If you want to contact me or email me or anything you want, please feel free. I am open. I'm an open book. I like my guns. I'm the first one to say it. I like my guns. I like the way they feel. I like the way they look. I like the mechanics of how they work. I like revolvers. I like semi-automatics. I like everything about them. And I like to shoot because it relaxes me. Okay, when I go out and I shoot for an hour, hour and 15 minutes, when I come home, it's like 4 martinis and no hangover. It's great. I love it. But as much as I like that, I also like the people that I go shooting with. I like the NRA fellas that hang around with me, and women who hang around with me when we go shooting. I like the instructors here because we all think the same. There's no difference between how we think. We're very much the same. We say what we do and we do what we say. We say what's on our mind. What I'd like to think is that we all have character. Something like this guy. Now I know he's gone, but he set the bar for us, and his character and moral fiber was extremely high. And he was one of the people that I would really like to have known because he, like a lot of us, are not going to sit and slip silently into the night and let some ill-informed people try to trample our Second Amendment rights. It's not going to happen. We are not going to let that happen. Doggone it. My name is Ken Fritz. Thank you. My name is Ken Fritz, and I am a proud member of the NRA. Anybody else out there? Yes, sir. One more time. Anybody else out there?